your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How is your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going. And make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. And when you guys go there, you guys will see all the ways to follow the podcast. Best thing you can do is share this with somebody else. Go to our Clips channel, which is growing. Dude, little by little, everything has been growing. Like, there's been more listeners. There's been, like, consistently more viewers. So thank you for everybody that's been watching and sharing.
Yes.
Welcome to all the new people that are watching. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so the best thing that you guys could do is share this with somebody else. Go to the Clips channel, Opposites Attract Podcast Clips, and find one that you like. Share it with somebody else. Tell them to subscribe.
Yes,
comment.
yes, all that
do
good
all
stuff.
that social media stuff. Help us out, right?
Yes.
You know, there's always something, like we're getting ready to record this podcast, and I don't know if you guys are like this. There might be some of you out there listening that there's a way that you do things, and that is the way they're done, right? That's me, which is part of how, makes me who I am, right? Like
So let's
the
get
whole
into that a little
discipline thing.
bit. What is all that? What does that mean? Like you said, there's some people out there that get a little bit, more detailed into that, right? This is, yeah. So,
it's that. Remember how I tell you, like, genius borderline's crazy?
Okay.
Like, it's right fucking there. And you could be a psycho or you could be a genius. Like, it's one of those, and I don't know, fucking figure out. Anyway, but it's like, it's almost like being a robot. Like, it's like, how the fuck does somebody just like same fucking same thing all the time,
Yeah. So.
And it's like when you figure something out and you know that it works, and then maybe this works a little bit better and you tweak it, and like, that's how we do it now. And then tweak it, that's how we do it now,
Okay.
So my example was like with this podcast, when we first started, and we moved fast with this podcast, like we recorded the first episode or the first and second episode that was audio only. And then by the third episode, it was audio and video. Mm-hmm. And
why did you want it both? Because that was your idea.
Yeah. The reason that I wanted both was because I think it's more entertaining. Like, if you can watch it and listen to it, it also opens it to a whole other group of people that can like watch it versus just listen to it.
So don't forget your train of thought.
Okay.
But I want to get in.
Okay.
Not everyone's been watching us since the beginning of
But
our
those that have
podcast.
know that we go off on tangents all the time.
Yeah.
So this is perfect.
But it's aligned.
Right?
So here Miguel is. He comes to me and he has this great idea to start a podcast. And you actually had the name already out. Like, that's not something we discussed. Like, you came up with the name Opposites Attract.
Yeah.
Right? And so here he is talking about.
I pitched it.
He did. And he sold me on it. And, he talked about it being audio. And I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, that, let's do this thing. Though it was a bit nerve-wracking. And if you haven't watched the first episode, go back and watch.
You can't, because it's not video. You have to watch the third episode. So
go back and listen to the first episode on Spotify, because you can listen to it on Spotify as well.
Yeah.
Right? But it's hilarious. Like, when you listen to us, and we were so nervous. I think we both took a shot of, I don't know what we had.
Did we?
Yeah, we took a shot. And then there's this thing, because we know that when we get nervous, there's certain words that we would say. I would say,
Yeah.
And we came up with this agreement that whoever would say the word would have to take another shot.
Oh, geez.
But I should have continued listening, because it's been a while. But I went back and I listened to the first episode.
Our
because
first
I had a friend
download's
of
going
mine.
to blow up right now. People are going to be like, oh, shit. Really?
Because I had a friend who wanted to listen to it, and I just got this great idea. I'm like, let's listen to the first one, because it's been so long.
Right.
So we started listening to it, and it's funny as hell because of what we were doing and what was being said. Anyways,
which you'll have to go and listen to. Right. Go.
Right. So then, that was great. Audio, great. Yes. And then Miguel
Episode 3
comes out with video, and me back then I wasn't very secure with myself back then. So
this was 5 years ago, over 5 years ago at this point.
Yeah. So I started thinking, hold up, wait, what? You want to do what? A video? And I was not 100% with that.
Right.
Because now not only, do I have to worry about, right? And this is me being in my head,
talking,
the things that I'm going to say. Now, as a woman, I'm thinking, how am I going to look on camera?
Yeah.
Right. And the inner critic kicked in. And there was quite some time where I was not comfortable with that. Right. I was not okay with that. But what am I going to do? Right. So knowing that that was something that was going on within, it helped me to actually look within.
Why did you say yes? Because you didn't have to say yes. I would have bugged the shit out of you probably. Because that's how I am.
Honestly,
I'm sorry.
Why did I say yes?
Do you remember?
You know what? 5 years ago too, like you were still stubborn as hell and set in your ways.
I might have wore you out.
I don't think you even gave me an option. I remember going back and forth with it. I don't remember being okay with that.
Are you really? You're going to say that you remember that now?
I don't remember having.
Well, I don't remember it that way.
I don't remember you selling it to me like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts? I don't remember you selling me like that.
But do you remember it being like a hard sale? Like, come on, you gotta, like, you know. Was that what it was?
I don't
remember that either.
Or you know what, too?
What? Look, now she's going to talk shit.
I don't remember voicing that to you.
But I remember how I felt.
I remember how I felt.
Shut up. No.
I don't remember because that's something very personal.
But I remember how I felt.
Listen, shut up, Linda. Listen, so no, I think that was the inner dialogue that I was having, but because it was an insecurity within, and it's not something that I wanted you to know, I think it was an inner battle. That's what it was. I don't think I voiced to you that it was uncomfortable for me to do a video because I don't feel pretty enough.
So you
understand?
Yeah. So you were acting tough.
So I was acting tough.
Something you always accuse me of.
Did I ever voice that to you? Do you ever remember me voicing me being uncomfortable with the way I look? I did?
Yeah. I do. I mean, I don't remember me like muscling you, but I do know that was part of my, maybe still is part of my character or whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember. Did I?
But I don't remember like that feeling of like me having to like really, because there, I remember that with the Jag when we fucking bought that one. Like, oh, come on, let's do it.
Bought the car, yeah.
But it wasn't like the podcast wasn't like that. I don't ever remember that feeling.
And I was very I've always been vulnerable, right, with what I'm feeling and what I'm going through within. That's something.
Well, the idea was also we're doing stuff and we've been doing stuff for the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. Like, let's bring people along for the ride. Like, we're trying to get better all the time. Right. So that's just kind of what this is going to be, is just the story of us doing our thing and growing along the way. And maybe people can learn something from it or see what not to do or whatever, but that's just what it is.
So those of you that, just started listening, I would challenge you to go back. I want to go back.
They're available.
I want to go back and take a listen, at least to the first 3. And then after that, you can it turned to audio and video thereafter, but go and take a listen so that you can see, holy crap, like the growth that evolution. And I do believe that I spoke about my inner challenge, like the being insecure about the way
on the show,
I look. Yeah, because I've always been that way. To me, my vulnerability has been my superpower. That's how I get people to really relate to me, is because I am that, but I'm not scared to share what's happening within, the thoughts, the limited beliefs, the judgment.
If you really think about over the last 5 years, everything that we've talked about, just between me and you, not even, thinking about everybody else that has listened to this over the years and may have come across it or just watching a random ass clip on the internet. But dude, we've completely changed. Like from episode 1 or episode 3 where we started making video to episode 309. Like our beliefs have changed. Our viewpoints on the country have changed. Like the pandemic happened. Like we didn't start the podcast when the pandemic happened. We started before. So if you want to see what it's like going through, like we wore masks on here one time, it was like crazy.
Our relationship
was documented through the whole thing.
Yes. Like all the things that we've, my gosh,
yeah, it was,
grown through, the difference in our beliefs, right? Yeah. I was very religious at one point, and Miguel's always been atheist. I wouldn't even say you're atheist. Oh, I don't know.
No,
anyways, I wouldn't. I don't know what you are.
Later, but yeah,
I'm like, I don't know what you are, and I don't know. I wouldn't call myself a Christian right now. Like where I'm sitting right now, I am a follower of Jesus. I am a follower of, right, like Buddha. I believe in the ways of that, right? So I mean, I wouldn't.
But it's been cool.
I wouldn't label me or put a title on me right now. Anyways, so when you go back and you take a listen, you'll be able to see a huge shift in our being and how we show up in the world. We even talk about the times when we were going through challenges with Adriana, right? I mean, it's everything. It's our parenting, not just Audrey. It's parenting, the challenges that we all go through as parents.
Yeah.
Our finances, just all of that.
Yeah,
it's like an open book.
In the last 5 years, Audrey was 10. She went through being a preteen to being a teenager, going from elementary school through junior high. Like we talked about it all.
Right.
Joey, in the last 5 years, he's elementary school, junior high school, hitting puberty, like all these different things.
Yeah.
So
I feel like the podcast these days, like we're very in tune with each other. It's more calm, right? Like we see
than back in the day,
eye to eye.
I gotta listen to it.
We have a lot of different. There's things that
it's still opposites attract.
It is that, but we're just different. We have grown so much. Back then, there was very heated conversations and how we responded to how we believed.
It's funny. I gotta check it out. That is funny. That's something I should do.
Hey, we should do that every night before we go to bed. Watch an episode.
Okay, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you were saying, like we started the video, right? And when we started the video, it wasn't like I had figured this fucking thing out. It was an idea, and we talked about this last week, and I made a clip about it on our Clips channel. Go check it out. But having those thoughts, because this is like you asked me before, what was my idea behind making video? It was audio can reach so many people. What is the downside of video? I don't really see that there is a downside. Is there any upside? The only upside is that it can reach more people by maybe using the YouTube algorithm now, because that's not a podcast, but you can use the YouTube algorithm to promote a podcast, and you'll get more people. So I'm like, let's do it. And then once that decision was made, like I talked about last week with the credit card, it was like, we're done. We're done thinking about if this and the next thing is, how are we doing this? How did they make this happen? Okay, what do I have? Is a cell phone good enough? Yeah, it turns out it is. So we start with a cell phone, we started with on the kitchen table. And that's the thing. All along the way. We were
literally sitting on the kitchen table.
All along the way. Like literally, yes. When the decision was made to start a podcast, we did not have a set up podcast room. We did it on the kitchen table. We saved 2 seats, and that corner was where we recorded podcasts. And we did the first 30 something episodes there.
Yeah. We had a bird fly into the window, remember?
During the
podcast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because the windows, loud. Sonja cleaned the window so good, a bird tried to kill itself, tried to murder, suicide itself during the show. Yeah, like you can hear bang like right into the window on one of them. See if you can find that and send it to us. But we'll listen to it too. But yeah, so then we come in here, and at this point we're still recording on a cell phone. But the thought is always, how can we make it a little bit better? The other thing was I always did the research to, even though it maybe wasn't the best, like I'm using a cell phone, I'm using, we bought microphones, but I bought the minimum. It was like the least amount of money I could spend for the best possible quality. So it wasn't like the cheapest microphone out there. It wasn't like a piece of shit, but it was cheap enough, but good enough to get us started. The cell phone, same thing, good enough to get us started. And then we upgraded the camera, and we don't have like the greatest stuff ever, but at a certain point it gets good enough that it doesn't matter.
Right.
The camera that we have is good enough. Like, it looks great with the editing that we can do now, like the computer. So little by little, everything has changed. But once I figure something out, it's like, okay, this is how I do it. This is how I do it. This is how I do it. Tweak it and keep doing it. Tweak it and keep doing it. And just, it's like a robot, And
there was something else that you learned recently.
Yeah, it's just always, the more I'm doing stuff, like I learn a new little tweak, and then I just kind of save it and add to it. And that's just kind of been how I've done things like my entire life, is just get on when it comes to like figuring out a process to do something. Like, we did it when we had the business too. Remember? Like, we were making baby accessories and clothes and shit and tutus and all that stuff. And when we were making tutus, it's like, well, this is the other thing. It's like, dude, whatever the fuck you're going to do, like, if you're going to just fuck around with it, why even start? Like, if you're going to do something, do it. Try it. Like, really try it. And I guess sometimes we get started with things and we never really get going. But every once in a while, you really got to just give it a shot. And if it fails, if whatever, like, you lose the passion in it, fuck it, do something else. We had this baby hats business, and we started making baby hats, baby headbands when Audrey was just born. She was our little model. We started making tutus and stuff. And then I started figuring out, like, all right, well, if we're going to make tutus, and we're going to be selling them, we can make some money. We're thinking about doing, like, we were thinking about, we went to wedding shows.
And boutiques. Like, I would go pulling doors.
We went to
get our stuff in.
We made business cards. We had a website. We went to the First Fridays, like the little art festival things that they would have there. And we would have a booth, and we would sell our stuff there. And we really did try shit. Like, we weren't just messing around with stuff, and that's the thing, is that with all these things, we've learned something. Right.
And that's the process. Like, it was what I was sharing with one of my clients. It's being 1% better than yesterday.
And yes. And what I was just going to say is that sometimes, like, we want things to be so perfect. And I was getting ready for this podcast. We've been doing all kinds of stuff. It's been an awesome day already. So we're setting up for the podcast, and part of my process is, like, I go down. It's almost like, it's not really a checklist, but it's like a mental checklist. Turn on the lights, clean the freaking chair that the cat's sitting in with all the hair, wipe the memory cards so that they're good, turn the stuff on, set the color settings,
put the sign out the door,
put the sign on the door so that the kids aren't yelling, go get something to drink. And aside from all the physical, right, getting everything together, it's also mental. Yeah, I'm thinking about what we're going to start with and all of that stuff. And turn off the light. Because part of also one of my qualities, I guess, is quality. Like I said, it's the minimum best quality that I can produce. But I'm going to do the best I can with whatever I have.
Yeah.
Right? And one thing that I know is that if you control the lighting in the space that you're in, because I've learned this after fucking hours and hours of researching shit on YouTube, that's how you get the best lighting. And I left the light on, and that is part of this process, and I didn't turn it off. And nothing is ever fucking perfect. And if you're waiting for shit to be perfect all the fucking time, good luck.
Yeah.
And you just got to be okay with it. Mm-hmm. Just be okay with it. And like, there's times that there's nothing you can do about it. Mm-hmm. And go. Yeah. keep going. Don't stop. Don't let that deter you. I don't know. Like I started I have the Fighting for Your Life podcast that I just recorded with Rob from McDojo Life. Go check that out. Dude, he's a big YouTuber, influencer. It was awesome having him on the show and talking about fake martial arts and just all kinds of stuff. The dude was fighting in bars at like 14 in Jacksonville. So he was kind of telling some of that story on there. But when I started that podcast, for the first time ever in 300 something episodes that we've been recording, we start going, and 10 minutes in, I look down at my mixer and I notice that it's not recording. And we've already been talking for 10 minutes. Yeah. I was like, shit. You know, like, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know, throw a fit. Like, hey, man, sorry. Can we start over? Yes, let's go. We'll just do it. And just keep rolling with it. You know? If you stop, you're dead. You're done.
I tell the kids, the only way to fail is to quit.
Yeah. And you got to see if it's worth it, you know? Do you really want to do it? Is it really worth your time? Right? But it's been fun. It's been fun doing all, you know, like.
And here we are almost 5 years later.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah. We are, so there's a lot that goes into a podcast. And the whole opposites attract. Miguel is that. Like, and it starts with everything. From the time he wakes up, the way he puts on his clothes, the way he puts on his shoes, the way he brushes his teeth, all of that.
What I do next.
We used to joke, and we still joke around. Dude, like, if I really wanted to get you. No.
That's why, like, you could get me. You know exactly where I'm going to be.
I know exactly where he's at. Exactly.
That's why I got to make myself hard to kill.
But you're not. No.
I know. Fuck.
The jujitsu.
That's
Shut
it.
up.
I'm going to have to, start mixing it up.
And so Miguel is very just tunnel vision, right? And
you're the free spirit.
I am that.
That's just what it is.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we both have a balance of the other side. Right?
Yeah.
It really is like the yin and the yang.
Yeah. And the things that I struggle with are the things that you don't.
And the things where a lot of times I'd be like, no, fuck, no. It's like.
No, wrong one. The fairy tale.
You know?
I just go throw some fairy dust on him. Shake him out of it.
Yeah, it's either that or I'm like,
Yeah, but there's
don't react so fast.
Right, but there's times where I am in my feelings.
Yeah.
I'm in my emotions, and you are that for me.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, we do it to each other.
And because of the way your mind works and the way you work, there's times where I'm feeling discouraged. Actually, I went to an event yesterday.
Can you hold that thought real quick? Because you were talking about our podcast and everything. And I just found out that if you guys listen on Spotify, which I know some of you do, because I was checking the Spotify stuff, Spotify's made it easier for us to upload the videos for the podcast. So like we were just talking about going all the way back to episode 3, there's video, which you can see all of them on YouTube and on Facebook for the most part. But little by little, starting now going backward, I'm going to start adding videos to all the Spotify videos and to the Fighting for Your Life podcast videos. So you'll be able to watch it on Spotify too.
Nice. So yeah, I was at an event. I took our daughter, Kayla, with us, and it was just about, building your document. And your document is
it's like your code.
Right. Your code. It's all the things that you want to create within your being, right? And it's things that you want to work on to be that, right? And I was sharing that one of my limited beliefs of not being smart enough.
Yeah.
Right. And during that conversation, I was talking about that limited belief and how it came about, and how at times when I get into that feeling, a lot of the times you were the reminder, or you reminded me of the things that I've been able to accomplish. And having you by my side to feel safe and secure enough to open up to you and be that vulnerable with you. And you being that safe space for me and pulling out the cookies from the cookie jar, David Goggins. All right.
Yeah.
You are to remind me of the things, the hard things that I've been able to accomplish and overcome.
Yeah.
You know, and so your strength is that, like, you are a finisher, right? And I would have seen, or I used to see myself as a starter, but not a finisher. And seeing you is a reminder for me of what is capable and what I am capable of.
Yeah.
And your motivation rubs off on me.
Yeah. You know, I really kind of, while you're saying these things, I really feel like it's something that you can build. I really do, because I don't, like, you know me, and I like, there's a lot of times that I talk and I express outwardly the things that I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it is worth a lot to be a finisher. And even right now, like, I feel like, yes, that is one quality that I do have. If I decide that I'm going to do something, or I say I'm going to do something, I'll do it for whatever that period of time is, or whatever I told you that I was going to be there or show up or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I make that happen. Now,
well, that's just being your word.
Yes, but there are things that, you know, like maybe in school, at some points, not always, in jiu-jitsu, in fitness, these things are hard. And I feel that there's always things left, like rocks that are unturned, like work that was left to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I always feel that way. Now, I am a finisher. I said I was going to do something. I show up. I make the weight. I do whatever. I finish the class. I get the whatever. But it's not always like the highest. Like, I'm going to get it done. And it's going to be pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. But it could be better a lot of times. Or in these hard things. Like, I think mostly it's like jiu-jitsu and working out, which is like my heart, like two of the hardest things that I do. You know?
When did you learn?
I think little by little, as you do, especially the even harder things like that, like working out, like jiu-jitsu, those things, like, you want to do these things better, and it's so hard to do these things better that it makes you better at the things that are not as hard as this. Which means that the quality on the things that are not as hard as jiu-jitsu, not as hard as working out and pushing yourself when you're working out, it means that if I'm doing something else, I can do that really, really well, because it's not as hard as doing this. You know what? I don't know if that makes any sense, you know, but little by little, that all kind of motivates everything together, and you start to even push more in the things that are really difficult.
So with you having that mentality, right? Because your dad is one of those that goes ape shit.
Yeah.
When a thought comes into mind or an idea, it's like, okay, this is what I'm doing, and drops everything else and goes ape shit over this thing.
Yeah, he was different. He was like that, and not only was he like that, But he didn't, I don't think he had much of the negative thoughts that I have. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't feel like doing this. He's like, I was destined to do this. I'm doing all of it.
Now, there is a balance in that.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not single, right?
I'm 40.
You got kids.
Yeah.
You got a job.
Right.
You got all these other things.
Yeah, that'd be unhealthy.
What? Okay, so explain that.
Dude.
Where did the balance?
No. That's a whole different fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can't compare those. You can't compare my dad when he was training and competing.
But I'm talking about you and your train of thought. How were you able to balance out, I have to be the best at the thing, and I have to do this, and I have to do that, and then have peace of mind?
Thanks, babe. I wanted to kind of mention this last week because it kind of seemed like I was shitting on stuff. Like I don't really give a fuck about things because I do. You know, it's like I was kind of saying like I don't do this for anybody but myself, and like who gives a fuck and all that other stuff. But it's not true. It's not fully true because I do care, you know, because I do have a feeling about representing my team and the guys that I compete with. Not even as a representing my team thing, but I compete with I train with other guys.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, whether we wear the same shit or not, there is a part of you that feels like you want to do your best for the guys that fucking help you train.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's honor and stuff like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What the fuck was I going with all that?
I just asked you a question.
About
how do you have that
Yes.
healthy balance?
So like this stuff is important, right? In a way.
What is important?
Work
Yes. Okay.
is super important.
Okay.
Like that puts food on our table.
Right.
Earns us a living. The business is super important. School for the kids is super important. But in comparison to what? You know, like my health and fitness and jiu-jitsu, yeah, it helps. And maybe mental health, it helps with that too, and camaraderie and community and all that stuff. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the most important thing is my family and their happiness and how are we doing, like in life? Because it's so hard to explain, but I think this might help because this is something else that I've been thinking to a lot. Obviously, if you've listened to this podcast, jiu-jitsu is a big part of my life. But what if I stopped doing jiu-jitsu right this second? And I will never put on a gi or step on a mat for the rest of my life. What does that mean? Am I still not me? If I get fired tomorrow or laid off tomorrow and I pick up a different career in something, what if I start doing this and I start podcasting full time if I get laid off? And I never work in aviation again, which is a huge part of my life. It's been for over 20 years. Am I still not me? So like, how important are all these things?
So who are you?
That's tough, man. You put me in these spots because it makes it sound magical, but it really
That's
is.
not why I put you
No,
in
I know.
these
I know you
spots.
don't try to put me in these spots, but it is. I am a reflection of the universe. Like, just like everything that you see, that you look at. Yeah.
Today, I was having a beautiful session with my client. And we were talking about relationships. We started talking about us. And I was sharing with her our difference in beliefs. I was sharing with her that the relationship we have today is a reflection of all the obstacles and challenges that we've gone through. All the things that we've been able to overcome has bonded us. And I was sharing with her the difference in our beliefs, and I started to laugh. And I said,
it's freaking crazy.
The God that he doesn't believe in saved our marriage.
Yeah, it's hard to, it's freaking crazy.
The Bible, the book that he doesn't believe in, saved our marriage.
I know it's ironic. It is very ironic. It saved our marriage. There's a lot that it's also done and continues to do. And I don't think it's necessary. And you know that it's not necessary.
I know.
Right? But I get it. It is ironic.
It's true it's true for me.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't believe the way I believed back then.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that it saved our marriage.
That is true.
That I don't know if we would be sitting here together if I didn't pick up that book.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right? And I just started
and even still, like, that was what started. Like I like to say that you wearing me down, right? But that's what that started. And then even still, when the challenges came up with the differences of beliefs, it only helped us grow and get closer. Even later on in the relationship, you know? So even still,
stepping into like building that relationship with God, with me, with the universe, helped me to grow within a love that I can't explain. And the only love that I can compare it to is the way Jesus loved. Having that depth of unconditional love. And there's times where I'm not always that. There's times where I'm impatient. There's times where, right? Well, I'm human as well, aside from being a spiritual being. But the love that I gained, that's always been within me, has also helped you to find that love within you.
Yeah.
My journey has opened that door for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I say it all the time. Like, I wouldn't be who I am without you. And even when we started this podcast, like, I was kind of thinking about that too. Like, the 5 years, and like, I was even wondering if our relationship would be the same if we didn't have this podcast. You know, like, it's had an impact too. You know, it's kind of crazy.
It's hard to think like 5 years ago where we were. And that's why, watching our episodes, it would be great. A reminder. And I think it would also do something for me to see like how far we have come as parents, as individuals, as
podcasters,
a married couple, as podcasters, as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
You know, just all of that.
Yeah.
Because we all need those reminders. we all need the reminders of the things that we've been able to grow through and overcome.
Yeah.
Especially when we're going through a difficult time in life. And if you don't have that significant other, like when I was sharing my story and how you've been there to help me to see the things that I've been able to overcome, there was a woman who so beautifully, like, just, I felt like she pierced my soul. And she looked at me and she's like, I am so happy for you. I'm so happy that you have that special individual that you can have these conversations with and feel safe enough and open enough to be able to share this with him, and that he's there to help you. She said, because not all of us do. And she was talking about like a spouse.
Yeah.
Right? But it doesn't have to be a spouse either. You know,
no, it doesn't have to be.
You can be that person for someone.
Yeah.
Like, you can be that person for someone.
You know, sometimes I think, I mean, this is worth mentioning because I think there's sometimes that, like, me and you, we're at a point in our relationship where it's kind of like the kids say, like, if you know, you know, right? And it's like, if you know.
Was that Biggie too? No.
And if you don't know, now you know.
Same shit. No.
Yeah. But Joe Coy got these freaking Biggie Timberlands.
Stay on track.
Anyway,
Stay on track.
we're gonna go see him soon. Anyway, but it's like this if you know, you know thing. And like a lot of times I'll have a thought of something, but it's like such a basic relationship tip or thing that we don't even say it because it's like
it's already
you,
embedded.
You already know that. Like you should know.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But what were you just talking about with
that, you know, having that a conversation that I was sharing. Anyway, there was someone in the group who told me that she was happy for me because I had that someone that I can open up to. And I was telling everyone that it doesn't have to be a spouse, or you can also be that someone for someone.
Right.
You know, like you can be that person to remind your friend or your sister or your brother of their accomplishments and their strength and what they've been able to overcome. Like you can be that person. And by just planting that seed.
Yeah. But one thing that you told me back in the day one time, and like you were saying, like that you could be that person. Mm-hmm. And it's not like you have to give the greatest advice in the world. You're not you don't have to feel like you're a therapist, and also it's not your obligation to like help people through their shit. You know, like it's if you feel overwhelmed, like some stuff is serious and they need to maybe go get some help from somebody. But sometimes, and you shared this with me, all it is just shut up and listen. Mm-hmm. Just shut up and listen. And that is like one of the most basic foundational like relationship tips sometimes. And it's just like, just shut up and listen.
Right. And most people don't know how to listen. We were not taught how to listen.
Also, as dudes, there's the thing of like wanting to fix things.
Right.
So as soon as you're like, well, this is the problem, like this is happening and this, and I'm like, okay, so first we got to do this, and then after when we're done with that, you know, like I just shared exactly how my fucking mind works. So it's like action plan, let's go. Well, no, what's the first thing?
And I'm like,
and she's like, I just want to talk to you.
Exactly. I just need you. I'm like, I just need you to listen. Like that's what I
remember you specifically saying that in the past.
I just need you to listen, and I know that your feelings were a little bit hurt at that moment. But then you got it.
But that's okay.
Right. But then you understood, because women and men, we are wired so differently.
And then sometimes like you'll start talking and then I'm like, I should just listen. The thing is that if I really think about it, I don't think it's ever really just listen and then not say anything. It never works that way.
Well, the next step is, would you like my advice?
Yes, that is a very good next level Next level.
And you all are hearing it now, so it doesn't have to be next
That
level.
is
You
good.
can use this now.
You use this shit on your kids too,
Yeah.
right?
And
all these mind tricks.
There's no mind tricks. This is coming from the heart.
I mean.
Yes. And another thing is, what did you hear me say? Because if we are having a disagreement, right? Like if we're having a disagreement and you're in your...
What was that again? What did you hear me say?
What did you hear me say?
Damn.
Because there's so much like miscommunication that can happen, right? Within a conversation.
Yeah.
I may have said something a certain way that triggered you, or you took it the wrong way, and I'm seeing you and I'm like, wait, he's upset. I'm thinking inside my head, he's upset.
Right.
Why? What did you just hear me say?
That's not what I meant. I didn't mean it to come across that way. And these things that we're saying, like I remember this when we used to work in Legal Shield, that they would give us these speeches or spiels when you're selling stuff. And it's like, what did you like best about what you heard or what you saw or the information? What did you like best? And every time that they would give me these words to say, it was always like, ugh. And we're giving you guys words to say, right? What did you just say? What did you hear me say?
Right. What did you hear me say? Like you're in a conversation, and you want to make sure that the communication is coming across, especially if it's like a heated conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you just want me to listen, or is it okay if I share something with you or whatever? And that's the thing, is that we go back and listen to what we just said, because we gave you specific words.
Yeah.
And that's how it started in Legal Shield. Like we would be selling something and it's like, what did you like best? And it's like, ugh, I don't feel good saying that, but try it.
Right.
Try it. And little by little, it like, you'll think about it in the moment and you'll be like, what did you hear me say? And at first it doesn't feel like something that you would normally say, but it becomes part of your regular conversation, and it's not hard to do once you've been practicing it.
So number 1 is listen.
Look at us.
And the way you want to listen is, who is someone that if you can have a conversation with would blow your mind? Who would that one person be for you?
Oh man, you gonna put me on the spot right now?
Who would that person be?
Elon Musk right now? Probably.
Elon Musk.
I think I would want to talk to him. Just
so if I was Elon Musk, how would you listen?
Ooh, that's tough. Yeah, I mean,
how would you listen? You would be the edge of your seat, fucking maybe even taking notes, like totally engaged. Every part of your being would be engaged in that conversation.
Yeah.
So especially with your spouse, your significant other, even your children, right? And I don't do this all the time. There's times where I catch myself drifting and I'll bring myself back to Miguel and I'll be like, okay, wait, what did you just say? Right? But it's like,
how would you be listening to that person? And that was just what popped into my head. Yeah. But no, like, as soon as you said that, it made me kind of like, how would I? And because you know what? When you said that, it made me think about how I listen. And one of the good things about this podcast is that I do get to go back and watch stuff that I'm doing. And I notice that because this thing is live, which is, you guys probably don't realize that you do this because you don't record this and you don't listen to yourself talking and watching yourself think stuff through. I watch myself on the podcast thinking through stuff and completely missing what you say. Or completely missing what my guest is saying, because this is a show and I have to keep it going. And he just said this, and that has to do with something that I was thinking. And now I got to say something else.
And you freaking missed it.
And when you just said, who would I talk to? It made me think of these moments. And like, how would I listen to him so that I don't do that? And then it's like, okay, I'm going to have to really sit and look at him, listen to what he is saying. Why is that different?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Why is that different? Maybe it's because
I'm your wife.
No, I don't. It's different with you too. Because sitting with you, talking to you is not the same as interviewing somebody for my podcast either. My other show is different because me and you have so much time together at this point. But even still, in the beginning, it was probably similar.
Yeah.
But I think like you're talking, I'm thinking, trying to say something, try to relate it. Oh, keep it going. Where with Elon Musk, it's like, it would be like, if it gets quiet, let it be quiet, I guess, and see where it goes, or try to think of something at that point is how you would want it to go.
And it's
Right?
okay to have those quiet moments as well, because
Right.
it gives you the little time to think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
But just being conscious of how you listen.
there you go. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Right.
So number 1, try this out. Think of a person that you would love to have a conversation with. And think about how you would listen to that person when that person was speaking, whoever that person may be. For me, it was Jesus,
Yeah.
right? Like the questions, like, just that. That was for that. That's the person for me.
Yeah.
Who would that person be?
You didn't
for
say dead
you?
or alive. You had to say dead or alive.
Oh, sorry.
That's why I said Elon Musk. I'm like, who would I want to talk to? I'm like, fucking quick. I guess Elon Musk.
Sorry. Dead or alive. It doesn't matter. But try listening from that state and just notice that when I asked the question and you thought of the person, and then what I told, and then the command, or not the command, but the suggestion that I gave you afterwards, you know, whether it's your husband or your wife or your children, start being more consciously aware
using these mind tricks on them.
How this is, babe, shut up. How you're going to listen and see how this changes your life.
For real.
I mean, seriously, it's like when you are, even if it's whether it's your boss or you went to an event and you're listening to the person in front of you, a lot of times we miss out on the gold because we are elsewhere.
Have you ever had a situation? I'll share one, but where there's something that you have to, like, you're going to something, you're doing something, and you're like, I really need to get this in, like this information, whatever they're talking about, whatever they're teaching. Was there anything that you thought of, like a mindset that you tried to get in, like, this is what I'm going to do so that I make sure I get this information as best I can?
I've just learned, it's funny, I've learned to listen consciously to where there's nothing I have to do.
Is there a process to that? No?
It's who you're being.
Okay.
It's not
maybe
doing,
we're different,
right?
It's just
because
different people.
You're always you're
Right.
here. You're in your brain. You're in your brain. I work a lot in my mind. I work a lot from here.
So what is that thought before this thing starts? What are you getting your head to?
I'm visualizing the person. Like before I got this down, I'm visualizing the person who I would be listening to. Okay. Jesus, I'd be I would put myself in that space. To where I'm fully present in the moment, right? Anything that is going to, phone is on silent, right? Yeah. If I have a pen and I find myself playing with the pen, it's like I'm training myself how to listen. We were never taught how to listen. So you have to train yourself how to listen, and you will find yourself. I do this with you. I'll find myself, like, you'll be talking to me about something about work and getting very deep in detail into it. And I'm like, find myself drifting, and then I had to bring myself back. Yeah. Right. And so, but there's times where I do drift. Right. And then I'm aware, and then I bring myself back. It's a constant, it's just learning. It's learning and it's training. It's rewiring. That's what it is. I am rewiring the way I once used to listen. Right. Yeah. It's not just with open ears. It's with everything. It's open heart. It's when you are consciously listening, you are, all your senses, all 5 senses are really tuned into what's happening in front of you. Yeah. And being okay if you drift, that awareness of drifting and then coming back is huge, because that means that you are aware. You're in it. Right. And then hopefully, if you start drifting, you catch it sooner. Right. And there's times where I do drift, and I'm like, I'm sorry, baby, what did you just say? Right? Yeah. Like, I'll own up to it. I won't act as if I was listening to him the entire time. I'll be like, I'm sorry, I was elsewhere. What were you saying? Dude, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Real quick on that, because sometimes, like, this is just a simple
thing.
But it's huge.
But I'm just saying, like, I'm sorry. What was that? I wasn't listening. How do you take that?
It depends on where you are.
You know what? Forget it.
Yeah, yep.
I'm not fucking saying it again.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
But
and
dude,
at that point,
what
if that's the
what is the reality? The reality is you got so much shit going on.
Yeah.
I got so much shit going on. We run from one thing to the next thing. Like, I know that you're thinking about stuff a lot. And so am I.
But there is times I remember where you would be like, forget it. And I'm like, what am I going to say? I'm sorry. Like, and that's your response. Like a relationship. I'm talking about like spouse, significant other, whatever, because it can cause an argument, or I'm just not worth listening to, or you don't love me, or, you know, you have something better else to do, whatever I say is not important. All these start to come in when, if the wife just openly says, you know what, I'm sorry, baby. Like, you know, I got lost, wasn't hearing, I was thinking about something else, but it's the way you respond. And if you're like, well, forget it, right? And I'm like, I'm sorry, babe. Yeah. Then you will probably be more open to reiterating what you were saying versus me saying, well, fuck it.
Dude, at the end
responding to your response. You understand?
Yeah, I get it. Right. And I think part of it is like the expectation of, you know, you listening to what I got to say or what's going on or whatever, which I don't think is a bad thing or whatever. I mean, I don't know. But I've also had, it's weird, just a weird way of looking at things. But it's also like, I think about things as like, what is it that I'm trying to say in this moment? Does it really fucking matter? Like we were talking about earlier, in the grand scheme of things, does it really fucking matter? I'm mentioning something about work. Now, yes, I can get frustrated that I'm not getting my work message across. And in the past, I have had times where I just, like, if you're busy thinking about something, and also you're busy thinking about something, and I'm coming with some bullshit. Like, it's not some bullshit. It's like what happened in my day or whatever.
So let's do this.
But listen, it's like at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, okay, something happened at work. It really wasn't that big of a thing, but I was trying to talk to you. But you're like in the middle of this planning your retreat type of thing.
Yeah.
And what is it? Like, do I really have to get this to her? Like, do I have to share this? Or is this just like an ape feeling, wanting to talk to another ape and have another ape listen?
Well,
and if it is that, fuck it. Moving on to the next thing. So and if it's important, we're going to get to it.
Right. So there's that. But there's also when you come up and you're like, because this happened recently, where you're coming up and you're all excited and you're like, babe, I'm like, hold on, baby. I'm caught up. I'm in a thought right now. Like, I'm on the computer and I know me. And if I fucking lose this, it's gone.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hold on, baby. I'm in the middle of something. What's that going to hurt your feelings if I'm just like, hold on, baby, I'm in the middle of something?
I'm like, all right, I got to remember this. I'll be back later.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
It's learning how to communicate from love. That's what it is. It's communicating from love, communicating from understanding.
Dude, at the end
from respect.
Yeah. I mean, like we've mentioned before, at the end of the day, if you're in a relationship, right? I don't know at what point you start looking at this thing like, we're doing it, right? Like, it's going to be us.
It's you and me.
Like, look at it like that. What is important? Does it really matter? All right, I'll hold on a minute. It's not that serious. Like, yes, I'm excited about telling you something, but I don't want you to lose that thought.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Not like I wanted to tell you something.
Yeah.
Forget it now.
So number 1 was listening. And then 2 is after listening, would you like my advice or did you just want me to listen?
Yeah.
Right? And then another one is, what did you just hear me say? And that's if, like, you notice the other individual is like taking it a certain way, something happened, maybe there was a miscommunication. If you've been with this person, then you can really understand their body language and the energy that they're putting out. So it's like, okay, what did you just hear me say?
Yeah. And
that is all these things you can also use with your children as well.
You can use these tricks on them.
Right? Like if you ask them, I'm going to kick your butt. These are not tricks, damn it.
These are hacks. These parenting hacks. Is that okay?
No.
Yeah, I've been using that on the title of all the videos.
This will
These are hacks.
Change your relationship in your life. You can recreate your relationship with your significant other, with your children, with whomever, by just learning how to listen, learning how to communicate from love and respect, and making sure that what you're being said is being heard the right way, not taken out of context.
That's right.
And
right.
That's what really helped us, is that.
Yeah.
It was me communicating from that degree and holding that unconditional love. I would tell myself, love him the way Jesus loves him.
Yep.
Love him the way Jesus loves him. And that's what I do with everyone. Like I do my best to be that.
Yep.
Right? And not having any expectations, because the way I love someone is not going to be the same way that you love someone. The right. Love that I hold is not the same love that you may hold. So just because I love this way doesn't mean that I expect those to love me that way. You understand?
Yeah. Well,
I love freely, not with any expectations. I love the way that I love.
Expectations will get you into trouble. You always got to try and let go of them.
Yeah.
Always.
It's like I do what I do because I want to do this, not because I expect something in return or anything in return. And just because I love and I respect and I am this way, I can't not expect everyone else to be that way, because they are going through their own journey.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. So don't judge them. Don't expect.
No, it just
is what it is.
If I do something, it's because I want to do it, and it's coming from this place, and I expect nothing in return.
Yeah. Speaking of Jesus and all that stuff, we're not going to get into it, but I wanted to get into this week, which we'll do next week, my birthday gift. I know I mentioned it, the Jefferson Bible, but man, the way this dude thinks, and I've told you before how like there's videos that I watch that a lot of times I'll see something and I'm like, that's exactly what I've been thinking. And they explain it like what I think better than I can say it. And reading just the history of this book, I haven't even gotten into the Bible portion of this book, but knowing like you mentioned during the podcast that I'm somewhat of an atheist, somewhat of an agnostic, or whatever you want to call that.
Who you are.
But actually, I'll leave you guys hanging for next week. But this is actually a quote from Thomas Jefferson that he said to somebody else at one point. And this is very similar to how I feel. And it says, I am of a sect by myself, as far as I know. And I am. And
what does that mean?
That I don't know of anybody that has the same beliefs as I do. A lot of people believe different things and different religions and a lot of different stuff, but the way that I believe has to do with so many different things that there may not be anybody else that believes like that. I don't know. But I've never met anybody. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know a lot of people, and people that believe in a lot of different ways. Mm-hmm. And there is just something different. Even if it's just a little bit, there's something that's just different. Mm-hmm. Right? So with that, I'll get into some of this and some of the cool things from this book next week on the podcast. And if you guys enjoyed this week's life hacks and mind tricks, make sure you guys come back next week where we will bring you more life hacks and mind tricks and mind hacks and all that stuff. Thank you guys for being with us.
Don't listen to him, you guys. He's nonsense.
I think they would agree this was a pretty good episode.
Yes, because I spoke a lot.
Yeah. All right.
And with that, thank you guys for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for Opposites Attract Podcast.
Where we get better
together. Bye.